12 News breaking news now.
We are switching now to 12 News coverage on really the first major break that we've seen in a case that has captivated the nation. The kidnapping of Nancy Guthrie. And you're looking right now at surveillance still photos that apparently came from a Nest camera on Nancy's porch.
And what's interesting about this, Troy, is that when the FBI, as they release these photos, there's also some video to go along with it as well. They're very careful about the wording of this. This is not a suspect. They are not calling this person a suspect as much as it does look like he would be, but instead they are calling this a potential subject. And of course, getting the word out as we are now on day 10 of the search for Nancy Guthrie.
So this is the video now. We just showed you the still photos. This is the video. But somebody showing up with a ski mask at 1:45 in the morning. This has to be your suspect.
Right.
Here. He tends to go back, or he appears to go back, grabs some sort of a foliage, weeds or something, and then comes up and uses those weeds. Actually, this is the first video. If we can go to the next video, maybe we've done this twice. But in the next piece of video, you'll see when he goes back and grabs those weeds, he's trying to block the camera screen as he apparently removes that camera. But again, here we are, what, 8, almost 9 days into
Day
this case?
10.
Day
Yeah.
10, and this is our first major break.
Okay, so these are the images, again, released from the FBI Director Kash Patel here just moments ago. 3 of the images, there are 4 altogether, and then 2 videos released. You just saw one of those videos, and so this is coming to us. We're bringing this to you here live on 12 Plus here now. And the first real break, as Troy said, really in this case in so long, 10 days. Nancy Guthrie has been missing now, and Savannah Guthrie, host of the Today Show, did just repost, I really should say, these photos again, asking for the public's help. They were kind of keeping things a little bit close to the vest out, but now they are opening this to the public. If you see anything here that is identifiable, they are asking you give authorities a call. That number 1-800-CALL-FBI, because while these images are new, Nancy Guthrie is still missing.
And this is the first piece of actionable information the public has to go off. They can look at this, perhaps identify some things in the picture. Interesting, folks might be wondering, you'll notice it says Nest camera. We've heard a lot about the Ring camera on the door that was ripped off. It took, according to the FBI here in Phoenix, it took authorities 8 days to retrieve this data from the back-end servers that Nest has where it was stored. They couldn't get it from the house. They had to go to the servers. This likely involved search warrants in order to do that. So a very intense undertaking that took 8 days before we can finally see these very, very important images.
And what jumps out at you, Bram? I mean, we're looking at these. To me, it's the backpack. It's the very full backpack, and then the ski mask, which is almost something you'd see in a movie or something.
Obviously wanting to be unidentifiable. And I don't know if we mentioned this earlier, this subject is armed. There is a pistol. You know, there's little things. I know it's moving a little fast here, but you've got the full backpack. You've got, and right there, kind of near his crotch area, that is where you see that pistol. Using what looks like similar to a boxing type of glove, again, to just disarm that camera.
It looks insulated for sure. It looks like a winter glove.
It almost looks like a specialty glove. It's not a glove you might use to go skiing.
That you recognize, yeah, very
that
easily.
Too might be identifiable. We heard a person earlier on NBC talking about going to chat-GPT to help identify things. Like that backpack is probably readily identifiable.
And it looks like he's holding a little flashlight in his mouth too, because again, being out there, it is pitch black at night.
No street lights, no sidewalks, and then looking into his eyes. To me, this is so eerie. Isn't it? That you're looking at the man who's, you have to think, is responsible for going in there and grabbing this 84-year-old woman. There he is with the foliage trying to block.
Right. And while authorities are not calling him a suspect yet, this is not a good Samaritan who's coming at 1 a.m., 2 a.m. Right now, I'll talk about that timeline here. Coming to do some garden work here for Nancy Guthrie. This is why the family is so concerned. They are holding out hope right now. Savannah Guthrie, as I mentioned, reposting this, saying, bring her home. They believe she's still out there. I do want to mention that we've been seeing around the valley now and around the state those missing billboards for Nancy Guthrie. Those that brought into neighboring states as well. Everyone on the lookout for Nancy.
Okay, right now we have been covering this story from the get-go, from day one. Again, it's been going on week 2 now. We want to go out live to Tucson. We've got Gabriela Becerra as well as Justin Pizzera. They are both at the scene in front of Nancy Guthrie's house. I'm wondering, to both of you, have you seen any more movement now that this new video and these new pictures have been released of this potential subject?
Well, as of right now, Tram, the only thing we've seen as far as law enforcement presence out here today is a deputy who has now been staged at the Guthrie home around the clock out of protection for the residents, and that was a request of the Guthrie family. We have not seen any investigators come back to the property in the last 24 hours or so, but we know that the Pima County Sheriff told us that we can expect to see investigators conducting follow-up investigations both at Nancy's house and at her daughter Annie's house today and yesterday. That's something we haven't seen yet, but something we are preparing for.
You know, and as soon as we did get that information about this coming out, these images coming out, we saw just this media frenzy. I mean, there is just, media is jam-packed on these very narrow, curvy streets here. And as soon as we started to get word that the FBI was going to be releasing these images, you just saw everybody start to run to their cameras and try to get this information on. So this is certainly the most activity that we have seen out here. We've been covering this for 10 days now. We've been out here in this neighborhood, and this is the most activity that we have seen. But it's such good news for these neighbors because, you know, the sheriff's office has been saying that they want people to look at their cameras, they want people to look for anything suspicious, but we really didn't know what that was. And so now these neighbors in this community actually has something tangible and something that they can look at and actually go off of and maybe help move this case along.
Yeah, and like they mentioned earlier, this is such a dark area at night.
Yeah.
There's no street lights. We still don't know if there was any sort of vehicle involved in this, but we do now have at least some picture of a person who was in this area at the time. And another thing that people have been kind of going back and looking at the doorway, because we know that camera where these images appear to come from is still missing. The sheriff's office told us earlier this week that they never located that camera that was taken off of the wall there, and so unclear if the person who is in these images took that camera with them. We know that there were also more cameras around the house as well, so hopefully they are working to get those images as well.
You know, another thing that I told Gabby before we came on when we started to get those images is that it reminded me of the case with Luigi Mangione when he is now accused of assassinating the United Healthcare CEO. When those pictures came out, it was just eyes. That's pretty much all that it was, but that was enough that somebody in a McDonald's was like, you know what? I think I recognize that guy, and it cracked the whole case. So maybe something like that, although you don't think that these images are much or you don't recognize the person, somebody out there quite possibly will.
Well, and even if he wasn't, or this person wasn't wearing that mask still after leaving this area,
Right.
Perhaps they can connect the backpack, the clothing, anything that, you know, may lead them to suggest that this is the person who was at Nancy Guthrie's home that night.
And to show us because you have a great perspective. You're out in the street. Can you take your camera and zoom in as much as you can on that archway just behind you? Because that's the same archway we're seeing from the inside, correct?
Yeah, and this is also the place where Nancy
That's right.
Guthrie's blood was found in that front porchway. So we're not exactly sure how it got there. But yeah, zoom in and just show us kind of what you guys can see from this perspective. And also just hearing from you after learning what just transpired or what did transpire there 10 days ago.
Well, you know what, one thing that, you know, we've been talking about this whole time is that the fact that it's very difficult, look how difficult it is to see Nancy's front door. And this is from the street. This is the vantage point that you would get if you were walking by or if you were driving by. And then it's dark. This is a dark sky community. So there's ordinances in place here where, you know, they can't have their lights too bright. So even Nancy's, when I got out here at night, when we get here, you know, in the middle of the night, the lights that are on are incredibly dim. So you really can't see much at all in the entire neighborhood, not just on Nancy's house, but just in this entire neighborhood.
And Allison mentioned that the blood was found at the doorstep, but also those dried flowers were also seen at the doorstep on Monday afternoon when cameras went up to the doorstep. Now it's now not allowed to go up onto the property of the home, but we did see those dried flowers that this person appeared to use to block himself from the camera as he was possibly pulling it off the wall.
All right, Gabby and Justin, thank you so much. Go ahead and stay there if you will. And we're going to go ahead and roll that video for you one more time. If you're just joining us right now, the first major break in the Nancy Guthrie kidnapping is in the form of 4 still shots and 2 different videos.
Yes, and what you're seeing right now, if you can look very closely here, it looks like in the middle picture that this the subject is holding a flashlight in his mouth. Because again, it was very dark at night in that area and there's not a lot of street lights. He is also using that brush that he went to go pick up. This is video now of him using that glove to kind of cover that camera. Intentionally, obviously, it's a much thicker glove to cover, most of that camera. Obviously, it looks like it doesn't really work well. So he goes back to the front porch area and then grabs some flowers, if you will, to try to cover more of that camera.
Let's go ahead and head out to Gil Carrillo if we can. Gil's a former homicide detective working on the Night Stalker case, of course, a very famous case. Gil, appreciate you coming in. You've watched this video, you've seen these pictures. What are your initial thoughts?
Well, I'm glad they're out. At least they have someone, and now that suspect knows that they have a better idea, at least in physical form, who he is. So it narrows the scope down, and it gives the viewing audience something to look at and something to feel a part of.
Gil, I know it's being very technical, but I've noticed from the NBC experts as well as, the information that they're putting out here, they're still calling this person a potential subject and not a suspect. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, is there really a difference, even though, it clearly looks like a suspect, but why are they being so picky on the wording?
I have no idea why they're being so picky on the wording. That may just be something that the media is using. I mean, you can call him an ice cream man if you want. The man is there on the early morning hours wearing a ski mask, gloves, obviously a weapon shown. It's not a time for delivery service, and if anybody saw him on the streets, they would have definitely called it in. So I don't know. They can call him anything they want to.
Yeah, that's a good point. All right, so let's go over a couple of different things if we can. I find it very interesting that he's showing up with such a loaded backpack. Did that strike you at all?
No, it just tells me that I have to believe at this point in time, without anybody standing next to him, that it's a one-man operation. He's got the tools of his trade, whatever he needs, right with him in his backpack. He doesn't have anybody. There's no reason to have a second man waiting at the car to get away, or there's no reason to have somebody at the back door waiting to see if someone runs out. He's by himself. He's gloved up. He's masked. He's a man on a mission. He's ready to go to work, and he's got the tools of his trade with him.
So you really think this could be just a one-person deal and there isn't somebody waiting on the street in a car?
Well, I can't say that. I'm just assuming that there would be no real reason to have somebody waiting at a car. It's not like it's a rush getaway. A bank robbery isn't occurring. You're not going to have cops running after him right there. I would think that if you're taking somebody and there is a second person, you might have them helping you on the inside, not on the outside waiting in a car.
Gil, I have a question. We are in day 10 of this search for Nancy Guthrie. I mean, this is the first real break. Like you mentioned, that the public has had some information, something tangible that we can look out for, see if we've seen something. I mean, after 10 days of such a high-profile abduction here, what are your thoughts, given your expertise here, that, Nancy's still out there, she's going to be recovered, where we are in this investigation? What are you thinking?
Well, I can't say or speculate as to why it took them 10 days because I don't know what they have found in their investigation. I don't know where they're at in their investigation, nor do I know how long it took for them to get back, if they had to wait for search warrant returns to get the images back from the company that had them. So the 10 days doesn't mean anything. The fact that they're releasing them means that they're ready to take assistance from anybody that can. You take help from anybody that's going to lend it to you to help solve the case. The matter that it took 10 days to get it out, that's just sometimes the logistics and the hardships of an investigation like this.
Yeah, it took them a while to access, I guess, Google, which is the parent company of Nest. We have so many surveillance videos that come out, Gil, where somebody's trying to hide their face and they hold an arm up or they've got a bandana. They kind of run in, they run out, they look like they're, under duress. This guy, and tell me if I'm wrong, looks like he knows what he's doing. I don't want to say he's done it before, but what are your thoughts on this? Does he look like not a professional kidnapper, but he's experienced?
Oh, he is, and that tells me that he's got some inside knowledge as to who's going to be inside the house, what kind of protection she has. Is she, a sleeper that's not going to be awakened right away? He doesn't seem to be in a hurry because he can't be seen from the streets. They don't expect a lot of traffic. The fact that he's got a little flashlight in his mouth doesn't project a lot of light other than what he wants to illuminate to make his job a little easier. So no, he's very deliberate, and he's well versed in the craft that he's taken on.
You make a very interesting point, Gil. There was a Fox News report earlier today that law enforcement is investigating people familiar with the house, such as a landscaper, somebody who does the windows, somebody who does the roof, things like that. Is that the kind of thing you would have expected to happen much earlier in the investigation?
Oh, I won't say much here. With the law enforcement agencies that you have working it, they're doing everything possible. And who am I to stand up there and say you should have done this earlier? No, they know what they're doing, and they're doing it as fast as they can. And you don't, in cases such as this, even a murder, you don't move fast. You move whatever it takes to get the job done, because you have to protect yourself against a defense later on that's going to say you work too fast. You don't want to miss anything.
Yeah, but at the same time, we're worried about an 84-year-old woman.
Exactly. I just want to mention right now, Savannah Guthrie seconds ago did just post now the videos. She had shared all of those images, but less than a minute ago, she's now sharing the videos that FBI Director Kash Patel shared, and along saying, bring her home. We believe she is still out there, and encouraging anyone who recognizes anything about these images, these videos, to give officials a call.
Yeah, and even her demeanor yesterday when she issued out the fourth public plea on behalf of the Guthrie family to find their mother, you can tell it was changed. She had on makeup. She seemed more confident. She seemed stronger, asking for people, if you have seen anything, please contact authorities. Again, we're showing this video again. Gil, you know, one thing that we also noticed, obviously, here too, is this was an armed person. And he had a pistol, you know, near his waist. What else do you make of this video? He seems very calm, obviously knows what he's doing. What else do you make of this?
The pistol itself, I heard one expert say a little while ago, and I didn't see it on the images there, the pistol's in his waistband, and they were earlier comments I heard which were leaning towards thinking the suspect or subject, whatever they call them, is left-handed. However, somebody looked at it and said, no, it's not. It's in a holster with the butt of the gun facing to the right, which tells me it's a cross draw, which means he can reach with his right hand and pull it out. He wouldn't be reaching with his left hand. So that tells me that perhaps he's a right-handed person.
Yeah, that's correct. That's the way that I saw it as well, that he could reach in and get it with his right hand. Looking at this video, Gil, is there, you as a trained investigator, what do you take away from this to possibly identify the person? Do you look at the eyes? Do you look at the mouth? Is it the clothing? If you had to get something out, the build, the gait, what do you take from this? What could you get out to the public to say, look at this closely?
I would say that he has, number one, thick thighs. So he's well built, stocky. The gloves that he's wearing, I've heard people talk about the gloves, different type of gloves. It just, my take is the gloves, he's wearing more than one pair.
Yeah.
In case there's a rip in one, there's something underneath that to make his hands look like that. Certainly the eyes. And then the fact, in one image I saw, it looks like he has a mustache. So it means that if he did have a mustache and now that this went out, he's going to shave it, which means now he'll have a area that'll be a different tone than the rest of his face. Recently shaven, won't have the sunlight won't have pigmented his face as well. And like I said, the eyes and everything around the eyes, that's what they're going to be looking for.
Gil, what's your...
And I may, unless I'm wrong, I thought he looked a little, I don't even know, looked a little bow-legged.
What's your assessment of the moment we're in right now? Yesterday, the ransom deadline passed at 5 o'clock. The alleged abductors, that's not been authenticated by law enforcement authorities, but the alleged abductors were demanding $6 million in Bitcoin. The Guthrie family apparently has not paid it out. The alleged abductors said in their note, they said if it wasn't paid, Nancy Guthrie would be killed. Given that, How serious is this moment for Nancy Guthrie?
Without saying the authenticity of the ransom notes, which you don't see here at all, it's really difficult to say. The fact that they didn't meet each one of their demands says now the subject or suspects are scrambling for what they're going to do next, whether in fact she is hopefully still with us. But if not, they've given up their demands for give us proof that she's alive.
Gil,
So it's
Yeah,
yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but this is just developing at the second, and we don't know what new drops are going to happen. But FBI Director Kash Patel just released another new video. We're working to get that turned for you now, but it essentially shows all of the moments leading up to the videos we've seen here. So this person walking in through that archway and up to the camera. So I think, correct me if I'm wrong here, but it looks like they're trying to show a little bit more of his gait that you're talking about, you know, the walk, how this person, to see if you recognize exactly how this person moves. Again, we're going to work to get that flipped around for you. But in seeing that, it really just seems like the more identifiable information can be out there, the quicker then maybe they can recognize this person. I mean, this is a big drop of images and a video right now. I mean, how much sooner do you think we could get even more? Or is this really all they've got right now to send out to the public?
Oh, that's impossible for me to answer. They know what they're releasing, they know what they have, and they know what they're doing. So timeliness is everything. It's a great shot getting people out, getting more people to help. But it's going to be the assistance of somebody else that is seen that's going to possibly help identify him right now. Just by the images anyway.
Sure.
Does this add to or in any way impact your thoughts on whether or not the ransom note is real? Because there's been a big debate over that, and we had these missed deadlines, and it's fake, they're not communicating. I don't know. Does this have any bearing at all as an investigator in your mind?
Well, the fact that they haven't verified it really doesn't have any bearing on me at all. I would, if you throw those ransom notes out, you know, you're still, the same goal is to find her. She's been abducted. You need to find her. And the ransom notes, since they haven't been authenticated, or at least they're not telling us one way or another, there are some things that are out there that somebody might know from inside. There's got to be somebody that has knowledge of the inside of that house. And so the ransom notes, whether they're good or bad, it doesn't have any bearing on the case. That's not going to help me find her.
Well, and the fact that even though these ransom notes that were sent to several media outlets, they were never authenticated, yet investigators and obviously the family taking it seriously, so they say. I mean, in a case where we haven't had much information, not a lot of leads up until today, I mean, isn't that, you know, the only thing that they have going for them? So therefore, you know, obviously they have no other reason but to take it seriously.
Well, I have no idea. People are speculating. Armchair detectives are speculating as to what they know and what they don't know. You have some very, very sharp minds that are working this case, and they're doing what they feel is best for the case, not for what they feel is best for release to the public.
Okay, Gil Correa, thank you so much. Former homicide detective, we appreciate your expertise and your insight. Right now, we want to take viewers back out live to Tucson, where we have our Justin Pizzera and Gabriela Becerra, who've been covering this story since it broke. Gabby and Justin, as I mentioned, FBI Director Kash Patel just released another video minutes ago showing this person walking into this archway here, into that entrance. And I'm just curious, I mean, we know Director Patel is expected to be in Tucson if he's not there already today. Any more inside information coming from the FBI, and what do you make of these videos now?
Well, the FBI told me earlier this week that he would be here on unrelated business, but because he is being briefed on this investigation daily, they told me it's very possible that his plans could change while he's here, and perhaps that is what he's doing. We know they have a 24-hour command post set up here in Tucson, working this case around the clock. They keep bringing in more people from all over the country to help with this investigation, and so perhaps Director Patel is meeting with those agents at the command post and looking at these videos and in real time as they get them from these tech companies who have been able to recover them.
One of the things that we just saw in the last few minutes while you were talking was more security, more deputies coming out here. They put another squad car here now blocking. It was just one deputy, but now we've got 2 deputies out here blocking the driveway of both her entrance and exit of her driveway. So that's something new that just popped up in the last few minutes.
And to point out that new video, it's only a few seconds. Us a better perspective perhaps of the direction that he approached Nancy's home from. Behind us you can tell that her driveway is a semicircle, and so to get, perhaps he went from one of these directions, and we have the driveway behind us, and that leads directly into that little archway area that's closed off. It's a gravel driveway. So again, just looking at every little piece we can of this new video that we've seen and all of the pictures that are being released to try and get any sort of clue so that these neighbors, like you said earlier, could look at their cameras. We know there's a lot of brush in this area, a lot of desert landscaping, so it's very hard to even sometimes see the homes, but you never know what a camera may pick up. Just even the slightest piece could help investigators in this case.
Yeah, that's what the sheriff has said, time and time again, is that, just that little piece of information, could really crack this case. So now hopefully that we do have these photos, actual something, that they can look at, the neighbors will have something to go off of. And maybe they did see something, earlier in the day or later in the night that looked a little bit suspicious.
And another thing I want to point out too, Justin, is over the weekend we were going to some of the businesses around on Oracle, and they said that investigators were also looking to see their surveillance footage. So perhaps they can now go back to these surveillance footage captured at business and see if anyone matches this description as well. You guys?
All right, so we are turning around some of the new video. I don't believe this is it. This is the one we saw earlier. That was just released by Kash Patel, the FBI director, a short time ago. We'll get that up for you when we can. The two of you, let's here's the new video. All right, we're seeing this. I'm seeing this for the first time as you are.
Walking with his head down so that the cameras don't see him.
And reflective.
Slowly.
See the to reflective?
Yeah.
That's something else on the backpack that I hadn't seen before. So this backpack that's full of whatever gear he's got has 2 reflective bars on top. This guy, I mean, look, I don't have a ton of experience. Look, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
He knows there's a camera there,
right?
He's covered basically almost every inch of his body he can cover except for his mouth, and he's walking in with a purpose.
Yeah, familiar, obviously, it seems like, with this home, and very sophisticated, very methodical. He has everything planned out. He's got a gun. He's got these insulated gloves that are thick enough to cover the camera and is somewhat of
And
his
I agree
face.
with Gil. I think he probably has a set of gloves on, and it almost looks to me like, those neoprene gloves you can pull over, like, you see crime scene investigators, doctors use them quite often. And I wonder if he's almost got a regular set of gloves and then a second set for DNA purposes, or what? I mean, what do you think, Bram?
I think so, but what strikes me is the familiarity with the terrain.
Yeah.
He knows where he's going. This might almost be perhaps a military veteran, a law enforcement veteran, somebody with that in their past.
Well, and think about it. That first video of him walking up slowly with his head down, that right there, you know that there is a camera watching you at the front entrance.
At the very first entrance.
Right.
Yeah.
So clearly there is this familiarity with this home because, if you've never been to this home, you would just walk right up. Right? So you know that you're being rolled on.
Well,
Is
you
the
have to
flashlight
be.
on there?
Yes, it is, because you could just see glimpses of it.
It just goes off.
But just from Justin and Gabby's perspective too, you can see if you're just walking by on the street, you can't see all of this, right? The entrance, the way the walkway is going up there, because it's a semicircle blocked by a lot of, just different things in her front yard, and so this lets you know this was not this person, at least in my perspective, their first time seeing this entranceway, whatever that may mean, whether they worked on this home, whether they just passed, whether they staked it out, whatever the case may be, which is what we don't know right now. That's what officials are looking into. It doesn't appear that this was his first time ever walking into this entrance. The last thing I want to mention that really struck me is seeing this person's cadence and their walk going up here. That doesn't seem to me the way I would recognize somebody if I knew them. Hey, they kind of walk this way. Their body, as Gil mentioned before, is kind of shaped this way. And so any little bit or any more information people can have to recognize, I think the FBI is just hoping something's going to crack this case.
Let's head back out to Gil if we can. Gil, I don't know if you've had the opportunity to see this new piece of video that just came out from FBI Director Kash Patel. Have you seen it, and what does it tell you?
Yes. Yes. Well, it doesn't tell me much. It does tell me not necessarily the fact that he's looking down, that he knows that there's a camera there, but you have to assume that somebody that's going to do this knows that people have door cams or dash cams, whatever you want, door cams, as they're referred to. And so if you look at any burglar inside of a warehouse, a store, a market, a jewelry store, they're all, when they go in there, they're looking down. They're trying to avoid facial recognition by the cameras. They know there's cameras going to be there. So it doesn't necessarily tell me that he knows exactly where the camera's at. He's just looking down so he doesn't get captured by that. And I can't say much more than that. And the fact that he knows the terrain, well, anybody residing in that area would know terrain. That's what he's got the lights for, to see if there's steps, see if there's anything in front of him. And he's looking down to make sure that he doesn't trip on anything, but it doesn't tell me much more other than knows what he's doing. He's there for a purpose, and he wants to accomplish his goal.
And Gil, what else concerns me too is the fact that he was armed, that he has a pistol, and that we know that there was blood on the front porch of Nancy's home. That blood tested positive for Nancy. What do you make of that?
Well, it depends on whether she was hurt, was she was being abducted, cut herself or bumped herself or did anything. It doesn't necessarily mean that he used the gun. Depending on if she was shot, where she was shot at, you'd think that there might be more blood unless he actually wrapped it up while trying to take her out. But I don't, that doesn't necessarily mean that he used the gun on her.
Gil, I don't know if you can speak to this, but it's taken authorities 8-9 days to get this video from the back-end servers of Google or Nest. Have you been involved in that kind of investigation where you have to get search warrants? You know, what's involved in, and why did it take so long to get that information, to get those images?
It takes time to write it, then to get it to a judge. In something of this nature, you'd run it by hopefully a deputy district attorney or somebody that knows the law. Then you get it from him. Then you have to take it and serve it. And when you serve it, it goes through their process on the other end. Somebody's there to receive it. It's a valid search warrant. Then I have no idea how long it takes to go through all the images or the technology it takes to actually find it, how much time it takes.
I find this, and I don't know about the rest of you up here right now, to me, seeing this video is very jarring.
Yeah.
I feel like there was a time when there was a lot of different theories going on out there. Oh, she may have died somewhere else. Oh, she may have wandered off somewhere. Seeing the video of this perpetrator walking up with purpose, it looks like ready to kidnap this 84-year-old woman. Gil, does this lay everything, all these other theories to rest? Is there any doubt in your mind that this was a kidnapping at this point?
No, there's no doubt in my mind that this was an abduction, and he went there for what he wanted to do. He had a goal. He's good. He's prepared for it. He's got all the equipment he needs. It's thoroughly thought out. So no, it's going to be an abduction of some
This is
form.
not staged. This does not look like something that's staged to you. Again, I'm just throwing out things because there's been so many theories out there. There's no doubt in your mind right now that this guy's responsible.
No, there's no doubt in my mind that has been well thought out, and everybody else's theory is just that. I mean, I have theories in my own house. My own family tells me their thoughts on it.
Yeah.
I should get them badges as being junior detectives. As long as I've been in the business, they tell me everything that's going on.
All right, Gil, thank you so much. We appreciate it. And we know this search and this disappearance of Nancy Guthrie has captured the nation. We know the FBI director is on it, and he is briefing the president of the United States, Donald Trump, on it as well. And I do believe that we have some sound right now coming from the press secretary about the president and just his updates on this investigation. Let's take a listen.
apologize for the delay. I was once again with the president. He and I were both reviewing the newly released surveillance footage from FBI in the Savannah Guthrie case on just this heartbreaking situation with respect to her mother. The president encourages any American across the country with any knowledge of this suspect to please call the FBI, who continue to assist state and local authorities who are leading this investigation on the ground. And once again, I will reiterate that the prayers of this entire White House are with Savannah and her family at this time, and we hope this person is found soon and that her mother is brought home safely.
Caroline Leavitt, who is the press secretary for the President of the United States. I can't imagine that there is a higher profile case in this country right now. It's certainly not a missing person case than this one right now. And you got the attention of the president. Of course, the director of the FBI is also in Tucson.
And so many extra resources that have been poured in, even as of late, the last couple of days as well. Yeah, it's a lot.
All right, so we're going to wrap up our coverage here. We will have more team coverage coming your way at 1 p.m. and, of course, all the later editions of 12 News.
That's right, and we're going to have a special 30-minute live stream with experts tonight at 7 o'clock analyzing the latest in the Nancy Guthrie kidnapping case. Definitely something you don't want to miss, so please download our 12 News app to watch it.